If you're wondering what we're all about and looking for directions to find out, let it be known we've got to go within to get out of the suffering our thinking has brought about. But remember this, if we would find our bliss, we're not victims but creators of our lives, and we're still connected to our higher self. We're still connected to everything else. I'm in you, you're in me, even if we don't see. It's all a unity, and it's all connected. Look about, what's going on within is what's going on without. It's the cold hard fact, there's no escaping that. We're fooling ourselves by blaming everyone else. And remember this, if we would find our bliss, we're not victims but creators of our life. We're still connected to our higher self. We're still connected to everything else. We are one, even if we don't see. What's done for you is done for me. It's all a unity, and we're all connected. If we would wake up, we must empty our cup and get out of the way to see clear. Now is the time, this is the place. It's here in our heart, not in outer space. Of our life, we're still connected to our higher self, still connected to everything else. I'm in you, you're in me. What's done for you is done for me. It's all a unity, and it's all connected.
Terrell. You listen to his music and it's like a primer for Unity's message. Thank you. Love your music. Well, good morning, Palm Harbor.
Good morning.
Do you realize it's only 6 months till Christmas? Which means we're halfway through our year. Well, for those of you who are new to Unity of Palm Harbor, I want to invite you to sign up at the table, the welcome desk, as you leave this morning. Not yet, don't leave yet, got plenty to go. But if you will, sign up at that welcome desk, and there's a free gift there for you. We hope you enjoyed the service this morning. My name is Reverend Marilyn Earhart. I'm acting as MC because Reverend Tracey is at Unity Village attending the conference. Well, we've got a lot of activities coming up in the next couple of months. Next month, Reverend Tracey is going to be taking us on the tour of the life of Mary Magdalene. I think that sounds very interesting. And also, Greg Barrett is going to be doing another class starting July 3rd. And if you don't already receive the newsletter, you can also fill out your name and email address, and you will be getting the email newsletter. That's also at the welcome desk. We have a guest speaker this morning, fabulous. I've heard him talk before. You're going to really enjoy it. His name is Dieter Randolph. I'm going to introduce him a little later for those of you that are not real familiar with him. And so for right now, I'd like to have you join me in prayer as we turn within, tapping into that higher power, knowing that power and presence of love is right here, right now. We are surrounded, supported, and indwelled by this presence. Everything we do, say, and think is led, is guided, is directed by this presence. So we know right now, as we join together as a family, a spiritual community, that we are in the presence, the power, and the love of our Creator. And so as we tune our hearts and our minds in this morning to the lesson, I invite you to know that you are already blessed and you are already a blessing in our lives. We say thank you, Spirit, for all of our blessings, and so it is. Amen.
My name is Bob Charpentier. I'm the platform assistant today, and I'm also the host of Wednesday Morning Coffee with Unity. Reverend Barrett is coming back with a new class on Monday, July 3rd at 2 p.m. He says this: our conscious soul evolution is about allowing God, our soul and inner teacher, to take down that wall of fear we use for protection. We summon our courage, will, desire, and strength to cooperate with the unique blueprint for awakening. The title of the class is Karma, Love, and the Soul, and is offered on a love offering basis. In November, we will have our first annual Holistic Health Fair. So if you would like to be a vendor or a sponsor, there is information on the table in the foyer. In July, there will be links to registration forms on our website. The organizers for this event are Gabriel Nelson Sears and Sarah Spataro. Reverend Tracey is in Unity Village this week attending Unity's annual convention. She returns on July 2nd. She starts a 4-part series on Sunday morning talks on Mary Magdalene. So we'll learn something like this. Who was Mary Magdalene? Did her message threaten the early church? And what does she mean to us today? So if you ever thought about researching Mary Magdalene, July is the month to do so. Now, for the daily word. The daily word is harmony. And the lesson is, I am in harmony with life. This lesson is suggested by this quote from the book of Philippians. Make my joy complete. Be of the same mind, having the same love, being in full accord of one mind. When I am feeling unbalanced or out of harmony, I bring my awareness to the presence of love within me, and I affirm my oneness with God and all life. In this space of peaceful communion, I regain my equilibrium. I pray and feel the presence of God with and all around me. All things feel possible in this place of sacred communion, where I am in perfect harmony with God. Resuming my daily activities, I feel at peace with myself and in harmony with the rhythms of the world. I behold the presence of God everywhere and in everyone. I bring a spirit of cooperation to all my interactions, and I feel in harmony with everyone. Life's symphony sparks joy in my being because I am in tune with the melody of life.
Just for a moment, I will let go. I will surrender into the flow. Stop trying to control and just let it be. Just for a moment, and I am free. Just for a moment, I will be still. Let go of illusion and seek what is real. Here in the heart of me, I know I am. Just for a moment, I understand. A moment in eternity renews me to the core. A moment in eternity, how could I want for more? And when I return, I am rearranged. Nothing is different, but everything changed. Through the eyes of love, a different world I see. And all that was required was a change in me. Just for a moment, just for a moment, just for a moment, just for a moment in eternity.
Dieter is the son of our founding minister, Reverend Randy, and has been, as many of you and as many of you know, his mother is Reverend Letty Hammock at Unity of Clearwater. Dieter's been a favorite guest speaker here and genuinely shares his love for brightening your day with his enthusiasm for life and his spirit. And Dieter asked if I would let you know you can get in touch with him at waypastok.com. And as Dieter comes up and prepares us with the meditation, we will be way past okay. Please welcome Dieter.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be here. Even better to be here. Let's prepare for our time of meditation by centering in. Let's just be still and quiet for a moment. Let's allow ourselves to be supported by our chairs, by this building, by this planet, by this moment. Right here and right now, all is well. Right here and right now, I can remember that Spirit is in charge. Right here and right now, I can set aside the cares of the day for just a time. I know that there's a lot to do and a lot to be done and all of that. But I come to this place to remember that the power that gets things done, the power that grows and breathes and loves and is loved, the power that blesses and prospers and answers and welcomes, is the power of Spirit through me. I realize that right here and right now, I'm not the source. I'm not the destination either. My job is to allow the flow to happen. In Spirit, there are answers. In Spirit, there is truth. In Spirit, there is family. In Spirit, there is love. In Spirit, there is healing. In Spirit, there is home. I am home in this moment right now. I am home with my brothers and my sisters and my siblings and my family right here. Oh, I am so grateful for this place. I'm so grateful for this time. No matter how long the road has been, no matter how smooth or how rough, it has brought me to right now. And right now, in some small way, perhaps I can begin to remember who I am. In some small way that I allow to grow, I know that I am God's child. I know that I am blessed and prospered and uplifted. And I know that my job is to bless and prosper and uplift others. I'm ready for my healing. I can agree with my healing. I can embody my healing. I let God be God. I think about all those people who've been on my mind, the people in the news, the people in my life. And I let each one of them be blessed. In my mind, in my heart, I say to them, may you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be at peace. And in so making room, I can also say, may I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be at peace. May I be at peace today. And may that peace flow through me. Today, may I show the world what love looks like. Today, may I show the world what love looks like. Let's say that together. Today, may I show the world what love looks like. And let that truth be true in the silence. Thank you, God, for this way and this truth and this life. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this family. Thank you for this home. And so it is. Amen. Good morning.
Let it be. Let it start with me. Be the change that I'd like to see here today and forevermore. Let it be. Start with me here today. Let it be. This love in you and me. Let it shine, revealing unity. Namaste. The Christ in you and me. Let it be. Start with me here today. Let it be. Starting with you and me. Let it change that I'd like to see here today and forevermore. Let it be. Start with me here today. Oh, let it be. Let it be. This love in you and me. Let it shine. Let it shine. Feeling unity. Namaste. Namaste. The Christ in you and me. Let it be. Start with me here today.
Thank you. So, my wife Jenny and I became parents when we were very young. It's one of those things. And as a result of that, I can tell you for sure that we did not know what we were doing. Before, during, after, we did not know what we were doing. It's just part of it. But we took it very seriously. It was a big deal. I think that from the moment that the nurses and the doctors make sure you put the car seat in the car at the hospital and then they wave you off and you realize that you are not qualified, there's that feeling of awesomeness and beauty and the bigness of the whole thing, but also, don't break this kid. You know? And so we took it very seriously. We really, really tried. We really, really tried. We really, really tried to be there, to be nurturing presences, to let that kid know that they could do anything. We wanted to validate. We wanted to support. We wanted to inspire. We didn't want to shut down, you know? And that's great. Until you want the kid to do something they don't want to do. I don't know if you've been in that situation, but I've been in that situation a few times now. I'm a parent of 2 who are now grown, and there was a lot of times when it was time for that kid to go to bed or get out of the tub. You're pruny, it's cold, get out of the tub. Those moments. And my kids have always been smarter than me, but I think that it's something that every kid knows how to do. In that moment that you're saying, it's time to turn off the lights, we've read the story, it's time to go to bed. It's time to get out of the tub and dry off. It's time to do the next thing. That kid who knows that you are trying to be a validating, nurturing, inspiring presence, that kid will ask you, why? Why? Why does soap make bubbles, Daddy? You have a choice in that moment. Why is the sky blue? Why do the stars come out, Daddy? Why are you getting irritated, Daddy? Why? And then you have an answer, perhaps. And then the kid says, why is that? And why is that? And why is that? And why is that? Forever. Now, a cynical person will say that, well, the kid's trying to control the situation. They just don't want to go to bed or get out of the tub or do whatever it is. They're trying to influence you. They're being selfish. I am not a cynical person. I know the kid doesn't want to go to bed, but I don't think that's really what's going on there. I think that children are closer to something that maybe sometimes adults forget about. I think that children have an instinctual understanding that the question why is a fundamental question. It will take you somewhere, in other words. Because you know that moment, if you've ever been in that situation, you know that moment where the kid says why, and why, and why, and why, and why, where there's a choice. And the choice you have is to shut them down and say, because I said so. Or you can realize that, you know what, we have gotten to the place where material and physical answers to the question why are no longer working, and we can leap off into something spiritual, something mystical, something bigger than, if we want. And I think that every child wants to get to that place, and they have a limited set of tools, and so they ask why. But why is a great question. And the deal is we have to decide what kind of parents we want to be. Not just to the biological kids, but to one another, to ourselves. What kind of children do we want to be? Are we going to shut down, or are we going to take the leap? That's the deal, right? And that question is being asked of us over and over again all the time. And the parent thing is a big deal. I mean, we use parental terms to talk about God, don't we? All the time. And that weirds people out sometimes because maybe they had a weird relationship with their biological parents and all of that. I get it. But there's some beauty around that. I love those terms because they mean loving Creator. But it's important that we ask why. It's important that we get past just the nuts and bolts of the term and get into what are we saying when we say God, for example. Is God an angry parent who just wants you to go to bed? I've been to those churches. Is God an absentee landlord? I've been to those churches. I get it. You get it. We get it. What do we mean when we say God? I think that there's room to involve a little bit more love, a little bit more presence. You can go George Lucas and say, I like that word force because it's something that you feel. Reach out with your feelings. Luke, I got to watch those movies again. Sometimes the word I find myself using is bigness to describe God, the bigness of it. I know it's not a real word. Get over it. That feeling that you feel when you look at the Grand Canyon or a sunset or you know you're in love or those things that happen when something is just so enormous. You know? I love that. You and I have an opportunity to make room for what is big. You and I. Yes, I'll be good, I promise. I'm going somewhere with this. We have an opportunity to leave room for a little bit of bigness, a little bit of the force, a little bit of that awesome presence in our lives. But to get there, we have to ask, why? And I know that a lot of us are not trained for that. A lot of us are trained for how. Let's get to the nuts and bolts of it. Let's ask how we're going to do it, and let's get it done. You know? and how seems like a rational question. It seems like a money-making question. But it's also a boring question. And it's also the wrong question. If someone says to you, let's say a friend comes to you and they say, I need your help. Okay, sure, I'd love to help you. What can I do? Well, I want to be a good swimmer. So can you help me research, get on Amazon or whatever, can you help me research what are good flippers? What's a good wetsuit? Can you drive me to the pool? Can you watch me swim and check my form, make sure I'm doing good? And maybe it feels like being a good friend is doing all those things. Let me drive you to the pool. Let me find the flippers. Let me do the stuff. Let's get the how question answered. You can work on that for a long time. But there might just be a day when you go, wait a minute, why? And they say, well, I've always wanted to go to Europe, and I know it's across the ocean. Why is an important question. A good friend asks why. And in fact, this is a really, really important thing. In your relationships with other people, if you want to avoid a fight, if you want to get to a loving place and everything in between, stop worrying about the nuts and bolts of it and start saying, instead of, well, what do you want to have happen here? Instead go, let us share our hopes and fears about this situation. The details will work themselves out. What's in your heart right now? This is a good thing to do with other people. It's a really good thing to do with God. I know that sometimes we're told to be very specific. God, I want a white Buick, whatever. But you know what? There's this whole part in the lead up to the Lord's Prayer where Jesus says, you don't got to be specific. God knows these things. Are you a nitty-gritty kind of person where you're going to tell God how to solve this problem? Really? You know it's God, right? I'm paraphrasing. The Lord knows what you need, right? So it's not about the details. Maybe a powerful prayer is less specific and more heart-centered. Maybe the powerful prayer is to say, Father, here are my hopes and fears. And I know that you have better answers than I do because you're God. Watch what happens when you go to the why instead of the how. So we need to be the kind of people that ask that why question. We can ask ourselves, well, why do we come to church? This is a good question. Because for some people, coming to church involves the idea that this is a place where I can be safe. This is a place where there's a big wall between me and those yucky people who don't believe the way I do or vote the way I do or look the way I do. A mighty fortress is our God with barbed wire. I don't know if that's in the song or not, but it ought to be. That idea that for some people, church is a bulwark of certainty. This is what we say, this is true, this is the deal, and I've got it all buttoned up. Church is a place for validation for some people. But let me make it very, very clear. I am not here to validate you. I love you. I'm glad you're here. I want to talk. Try and get me to shut up. But I'm not here to validate you. I'm here to challenge you. My job is not to give you a pillow. If I'm doing my job is to give you a magnifying glass and some walking shoes. You're here to do something, to be challenged, to go through that, to get out of comfort zones and explore something because God is bigger than, right? Our job is to go to a bigger place, not a safe place. And there's a very important difference there. And like I said, I get it. We're not trained for that. I think that in a very real way that we are trying to sort of button things up and lock things down and make them simpler. Can you give me the elevator pitch and the sound bite? Can you fit it in 120 characters? But we miss a lot when we try and button things up, don't we? Imagine falling in love and being so inspired by that feeling that you write a book about it. And then imagine there's a Wikipedia page about that book. And then imagine someone who definitely didn't read the book and probably didn't even read the whole page writes a Facebook post about it. Well, it's all buttoned up. Simple. But something has been lost in the translation. And our job is to get back to that feeling of being in love instead of being able to iron things out. Let me say that differently. Do you believe that the universe is done cooking? That it's all done. The whole thing is all finished. That life and love and the universe and the whole thing is just done. Of course not. It doesn't take long with a telescope or a microscope or just thinking about it to become a wide-eyed mystic about all of the amazing, expanding, beautiful, incredible things that are going on inside and outside all the time. The universe is not done cooking any more than you and I are. Oh, it's amazing. And if you know that, then you also know that your job in life is not to iron things out and to fit things into compartments to make them go away. Be on the side of life and expansion instead of on the side of stagnation and death if you want to be a happy person. You want healing? You want life in your life? Well, what does life do? It grows. Get out there. That's how this whole thing works. In other words, messy is good. That's how this thing goes. Something gets lost in the translation. I'm here to tell you that your friends on Facebook are not real friends. I'm here to tell you that clicking that heart button on Instagram is not the same thing as love. Something gets lost in the translation when we try to iron things out and button things up and make things go away. I know there's a game on everyone's phone where you line up fruit and make it go away, and there's a great serotonin hit with making things go away. But it's fake. Because I want to tell you that nothing is impossible. Now, you can take that in the motivational way where you can do it and nothing's impossible. And yeah, that's true too. But that's not even what I mean. I mean, literally, nothing is impossible. You can't have nothing. There's always something. So stop trying to put things away. Stop trying to get everything to fit between your ears and start understanding that the world is bigger. God is bigger. You are bigger. The thing is bigger. I realize that the things that I really know, are not the things that have come to me through data. They're not the things that have come to me through experience. The things that I really know. I know what love is, you know? Me and Forrest Gump, we know. I know how I feel about my kids. I know what my favorite song is. I know these things. I know that fettuccine Alfredo is a superior dish. Not through empirical evidence, but because I know. Think about the things that you know in your life. Think about what is real to you. What is real to you? The evidence? It's important, I get it, but is that what's most real to you? The thing that somebody proved to you? Or is it the things that you are maybe afraid of, maybe joyous about, maybe happy about, maybe thrilled and overwhelmed about? What's real to you? You want to be a real person, Pinocchio? What do you think? So what will you lean into? That becomes the question. What is real to you? If it's not, what is in your heart? You get to decide what you spend your time thinking about. What you spend your time, more importantly, feeling about. Are we foolish because the things that we know best are things that are unseen? You know, I got to tell you, in Hebrews, Paul's got a great thing about faith, and it has to do with believing in things that you don't see. Maybe we just need to retool, you know? And it's time for that. The heroic journey, the shamanic journey, if you really want to go weird with it, is to transfer over from the realm of where things are proven to the realm where things are felt. And to bring something back for everybody else. That's your job. But that seems like a lot, so let me say it differently. Just get the joke. Be the kind of person who gets the joke. That's the deal. I have 2 kids. They're about 3.5 years apart. And when my wife was pregnant with our younger one, our son, Miles, it was really important to us to take Raina, our daughter, the older one, to take her with us the whole time. It was a big deal. We didn't want her to feel left out. We didn't want her to feel replaced. You know, all those things that you freak out about with a second kid, you know, the whole deal. And we took it all very seriously, probably way too seriously, but we brought Raina with us everywhere. Raina and I. We took Raina with us everywhere, to every doctor's appointment, the whole deal. Every single time. And it was beautiful for our little girl to see that fuzzy ultrasound picture of our son, you know, that blob, that little kidney bean with a heartbeat, that whole thing. It was really cool. But I think that the thing that Raina remembers most of all is waiting in the waiting room for the doctor's appointment, because there was a big stack of Dr. Seuss books there, and we would read Dr. Seuss. There was a ritual with us. We went to the doctor a lot. There was a lot of ultrasounds, a lot of that kind of stuff, and we read a lot of Dr. Seuss, to the point where Raina, my daughter, thought for sure that Dr. Seuss delivered her brother. That was Dr. Seuss. We went to see Dr. Seuss. Now, I have to say, that would explain a lot about my son. Because he's magical and artistic and beautiful and unfathomable and everything else. Would it have helped me as a parent to explain to my little girl, my 3-year-old little girl, that no, you're wrong. Let me take some magic away from you. You know, Dr. Seuss's name isn't even Dr. Seuss, that's just a pen name. Does that matter? Does that enhance your enjoyment of green eggs and ham or the star-bellied Sneetches or the Cat in the Hat or any of those? Does that help? Or does that miss the point? A mystical person is someone who doesn't miss the point. That's the deal. Think about the jokes that you know. Are they funny because they're logical? Because they make sense? Is that a cool joke? Why do you laugh? Guy goes fishing with Jesus. Segues. He's in the boat, and it's an amazing thing. He's out there, and he's so distracted by the experience that he drops his paddle, and it kind of floats away. Luckily, those things float, you know. And he sees it go, out of reach. Just kind of looks at Jesus. And Jesus gets up, no problem, walks across the water, gets the paddle, hands it back to him. A little while later, the guy is there again, loses the paddle again, drifts away again. Jesus gets up again, walks in the water again, gets the paddle again, hands it back to the guy. Third time this happens. The guy loses his paddle, and Jesus gets up, walks over, no problem, hands it back to him. And the next day, the guy's talking to his friend, and he says, what was it like out on the boat with Jesus? And the guy says, you know, that guy can't even swim. Don't be like that. Leave room for magic in your life, because that is why we are alive. That's the point. I didn't used to have any room for magic because I thought my job as a minister, because I started very, very young, I thought my job as a thinking person, I thought my job as a person on planet Earth was to explain it, to figure it out, to write it down, to button it up, you know? It's comforting. I realize now that it was a security blanket, because writing stuff down like that prevents you from having to deal with big questions, prevents you from having to get out of your comfort zone. I had a reinforced comfort zone, you know? But I realized that the more I tried to explain things, the more the important things slipped through my fingers, you know? The more I tried to make things fit on a list, the more art and truth and beauty and passion and excitement and funniness, humor, drifted away like a paddle, you know? It's been a long time, and it has not been so long in my life that I realized that I was here not to write a manual, but to write an ode. You know what an ode is? It's like a love song, an ode to joy. You know, you've heard that one. A love song, a poem, a joke, a moment, a tribute to this bigness, to this love, to this joy. That's why I'm here. I'm not here to explain. You're not here to explain. We are here to experience. Watch your priorities. You're not here to figure out the password to God's clubhouse. You're here to be where you are. Not so long ago, somebody was working through their seminary stuff, and they interviewed me, and they asked me what my theology was. And that old writing a manual side of me was queuing up Lessons in Truth, the book that changed my life and has changed the lives of many people in this room. Was queuing up all of the things that I remembered from seminary, all of the catechism, for lack of a better word. And I was ready, and I realized how dumb that was. Because that's not what I think about when I think about God. As beautiful and as important as it is, that's not what I think about when I think about the bigness, you know? So here's what I said to him. I said, you know that feeling you have when you laugh? You know that feeling you have when something is so beautiful that you cry? You know what fireworks are like? You know that feeling when you're in love and you know it? That's where God lives. That's my theology. What I want you to do is stop trying to explain and start trying to experience. What I want you to do is to go to the wild places in your heart, because that's where God lives, and bring something back to share with the rest of the class. That is your job. And it just keeps on going, you know? 5 minutes ago, I was trying to get a little kid out of a tub. And just a few weeks ago, I found out that I'm going to be a grandpa. It just keeps on going. And you have the power to share something beautiful, something wonderful, something artistic, something true. This is so big. And you are allowed to participate in it, and you're supposed to share it. It will make you happy. It will make you healthy. And it will make you free. Because after all, freedom is a choice. Thank you.
This is the time in our service when we make our offering for the continued growth of our spiritual work. Would the ushers please come forward? We appreciate the tithes that come to us online through PayPal, from our consistent giving program, and from love offerings throughout the week. Hold your gifts in your hands and repeat our love offering prayer together. I give freely and fearlessly, fulfilling the law of giving and receiving.
And you can clap along and sing along, whatever you want to do on this.
Making me sing. I got the same spirit in my ear, making me hear. Those who know it's showing. Those who show it, sing it, sing amen, sing amen. Whoa, if the spirit moves you, stomp your feet, and if the spirit moves you, clap your hands. If the spirit moves you, say amen, say amen, say the spirit animates the body, the spirit shining through your eyes. The music lifts up the spirit, and if you're open, we will try. If the spirit moves you, stomp your feet, and if the spirit moves you, clap your hands. If the spirit moves you, say amen, say amen, say amen. Sometimes something comes along and knocks us off the track, but music with the spirit can lift us right back. I got the spirit in my fingers, making them move. I got the spirit in my vocal cords, making me sing. I got the same spirit in my ear, making me hear, making me hear. All right. If the spirit moves you, stomp your feet. If the spirit moves you, clap your hands. If the spirit moves you, say amen, say amen, say amen. Whoa, if the spirit moves you, stomp your feet. If the spirit moves you, clap your hands. If the spirit moves you, say amen, say amen, say amen, say amen, say amen.
Thank you.
Surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us.
The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Amen. joy is found to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Namaste.